Hello everyone. This week I'm going to be continuing my topic of dumbbells. This time I'm going to focus on the PowerBlock, probably the most popular choice for a home gym. We'll go over the pros and cons and if this is going to work for you. PowerBlocks are pretty popular and they're fairly easy to find. We'll point out some specific advantages and disadvantages of PowerBlocks. Adjustable dumbbells in general, you do have to be a little more careful with them than a regular barbell in that they can be a little more fragile. It might not necessarily be meant for dropping, and then you also have to kind of look at the weights and how high they go up. And then even just how low they can go as well. There's lots of different types of PowerBlocks, and they will have different ranges. This particular set goes up to 90 pounds. Now to adjust these, they have a little retention thing, and then you can pull this out. On here, they do have what those different colored bars mean and the different weights. Now you can see that there's also stuff written up here at the top, and that's because these do adjust even more, even just at this base. You have this little lever, and then you have a closed, open, and a closed. So you can slide this into the middle, and then what that does is that opens up these holes in the bottom. And you can tilt this, and then you have these two little rods in here. So these are 2.5 pounds, and then that's why you'll have a 15 and a 20 for like the black and why it jumps. So then that makes the handle itself 5 pounds. These are 2.5. So that's how you can get underneath 10 pounds with this set. And then you can jump up 2.5 because you can just put in one side and lock it down. And one of the pluses is this does have flat on both ends. So it's much more comfortable to put onto your leg, which makes it easier to kick up and put back down. Now, like I mentioned, they are adjustable, so they have a reputation of being pretty solid, but they're not necessarily meant to be dropped. And then those 2.5 that you can put in there, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is one of those things like if you're doing a bench or shoulder exercise, you can feel if you only have one of those in there, because it does pull just a little bit. It's not necessarily off-putting, but it is something to consider with these kind of blocks. Now, this is kind of specific for PowerBlocks. It does make some movements either incredibly hard to do or possibly even impossible to do. So something like a dumbbell squat where you're supposed to hold the dumbbell, there's not really a good way to hold that. Just because of where the weight is and how it's built. Another one would be a goblet squat. You're going to have to hold it different, and then even a pullover. Pullover is going to be kind of hard to do with a PowerBlock, or at least the traditional way. You're going to have to try to think of some way to do it. So I mean, they're good, but at the same time, certain exercises you're either going to have to switch them out or come up with a different way to do it. So as you can see, like I could do those exercises, but at the same time, like I had to come up with those to make them work. Like the dumbbell squat, yeah, that's not necessarily the traditional dumbbell squat. That's just exercise program that I'm following. That's how I'm supposed to do the dumbbell squat. I was able to get, the 50s on there, But once I get over that, I don't necessarily have a place for my fingers, and that was kind of hard on the fingers because there's not necessarily a good way to grab the barbell or the dumbbell. Same issue with the goblet squat. You usually, kind of hold it under the bell, but you can't really do that with this, so you have to cradle it. The pullovers, there's not really a good way to do the pullovers. I had to take a lot of the weight off, and then kind of grab these handles at the bottom. They're not really the handles though. And we'll take some B-roll to kind of show you what I'm talking about, because if all of these little spots are where the weight goes at the bottom, they have this thick plate to kind of hold everything together, but that also means like you can't really get your hands down there, and then your weight plates will also be down here too if you're going fairly heavy. So some exercises you're just not either going to be able to load them all the way, and you're going to have to use different techniques to make it harder, or you're going to just have to find completely new exercises. I can tell you that it also kind of cuts you up. I kind of got a little cut when I was doing the goblet squats, trying to get it down off of my chest. It's kind of scratched up my chest. So they're not perfect. One of the great things about them is that they are compact. I have 90 pounds and it takes up very little room. They are fairly quick and easy to change the weights on, so that's nice as well. They are relatively expensive though. They're not expensive as like regular dumbbells, but they're pretty costly. They do come up on the used market around here every once in a while, but people are kind of asking almost the same price that they paid for them new, so they kind of just sit on the marketplace for a while. But that might just be where I live. I live in the Midwest. Exercise equipment doesn't necessarily seem a big deal around here, so you don't see it very often for sale, and the prices are usually all over the place. So that is just one more thing to consider. These are kind of unidirectional in that you have to remember that this sticks out. This sticks off to the side. So let me lower the weight back down. So if I'm doing anything on this side, that's now kind of hitting me. It's awfully close to my head. So if you're doing them, so it's one of those things like I usually have this facing the other way, so I don't have to worry about hitting my head. But the one other thing that I'll mention, another thing I don't like about these is they have a tendency to kind of catch pockets. So it's kind of snagging on these. So sometimes it does depend on the shorts. I actually spent a lot of time just looking for shorts without pockets, because these things that hold the weight in, the little black bar, it will catch shorts every once in a while. And so you're trying to get the weight up and you're just kind of pulling on your shorts. Now, I've had these for a couple years. They've held up well. And I know that seemed like a lot of negativity, like I don't like these. They're fine. Yeah, they worked great. To be honest, if I had it to do all over again, I'd probably go with like the Iron Master adjustable dumbbells. They're kind of a mix in between these and the 1-inch dumbbells, except that they don't have the poles sticking out. So they're a little more flat at the bottom. So they're kind of a mix. They're not as quick of adjustable as the PowerBlocks, but they feel more like a real dumbbell. But these work, they're okay. It's just, I went with a lot more negatives on this just because they are recommended so heavily. Just wanted to give people some things to think about before they drop the big bucks on something like a PowerBlock. I don't really have any other adjustable dumbbells, so I can't necessarily speak about those other than you kind of just have to be a little bit careful with them. They all have pluses and minuses. There's lots of reviews on a lot of adjustable dumbbells, so you can always go and try to find another channel that's reviewed it to give you a better idea on if it will work for you or not. In the next video, I'll talk about regular non-adjustable dumbbells like you'd find in a gym. So please subscribe if you don't want to miss that one. Then in the comments down below, let us know, what do you think about PowerBlocks? Or do you have another kind of a PowerBlock adjustable dumbbell that you like more or least? And then please leave a like if you found any of this helpful, and I'll talk to you again soon.